Did Obi-Wan Kenobi save Grogu from Order 66? Since the dawn of time, mankind has looked to the stars and wondered, are we alone in this universe? What is the purpose of life? And who rescued Grogu from Order 66, huh?
Who could have done this?
Well, today we might have new clues to at least one of these questions thanks to the latest episode of the Book of Boba Fett. And if we're right about this, it could also tie into events that might play out over the course of the upcoming Obi-Wan Kenobi series as well. Now, if you prefer to read all about this, check out Nerdist staff writer Michael Walsh's original piece over on Nerdist.com, which I will link to in the description below. However, it goes without saying that in order to talk about this, we need to spoil what happens in the latest episode of the Book of Boba Fett. So if you haven't watched it yet and you're Force sensitive to spoilers, leave now before it's too late. Alright, let's get into it, shall we? Who saved Grogu is a question that we have examined before, and the candidates range from Jocasta Nu to Mace Windu to R2-D2.
Hush, not so loud.
But now, according to Mikey's theory, we can narrow the range of suspects significantly to two primary people, Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Hello.
Allow us to explain. During the events of the Book of Boba Fett Chapter 6, we gained some valuable insights into what happened to everyone's favorite 50-year-old baby. Born during 41 BBY, the same year as Anakin Skywalker, the wee baby Grogu was an adorable Force-sensitive kiddo at the Jedi Temple on Coruscant when the fateful events of Order 66 unfolded all around him. While training as a Padawan with Luke Skywalker on some verdant bamboo and frog-filled planet, the Elder Jedi asked his young ward about his past. However, it seems that most of Grogu's memories prior to his time with Din Djarin have been repressed, either as a trauma response, or maybe as a way to ensure that some secrets never emerged. Grogu clearly led a painful life prior to the events of The Mandalorian, and not just because the Imperial Remnant scientists treated him like this midichlorian-filled Capri Sun for powering future Palpatine homunculi. Thankfully, with Luke's help, we were able to gain greater clarity about Grogu's past. Luke tested the waters by mentioning that he knew someone an awful lot like Grogu, Master Yoda, whose Jedi training curriculum Luke is clearly adapting for Grogu here. And while for a brief moment it seemed like we might finally learn just where the hell Yoda, Yaddle, and Grogu came from, such was not to pass. After all, George Lucas famously declined to name Yoda's species and give further background information on where they came from. He preferred to keep it as mysterious as that little riddle-spitting swamp goblin himself. Instead, when Luke used the Force to help unearth Grogu's repressed memories, it was one of the most traumatic and tragic days of Grogu's life. It was the day that his home was ripped away from him. As we confirmed in the Clone Wars episode Children of the Force, Jedi younglings were recruited for Jedi training shortly after birth. So Grogu's entire life was likely spent in the confines of the Jedi Temple. Now, the memory itself is violent and brief. Grogu watches in stunned silence as three nameless Jedi bravely sacrifice themselves trying to defend Grogu and presumably other younglings from a group of encroaching clone troopers who are trying to put the Execute in Execute Order 66.
Execute Order 66.
One by one, these Jedi all fall, and the last thing that we see before returning to the present is the clone troopers marching towards the wee baby Grogu. Now, obviously, Grogu does not get systematically murdered like so many other Jedi in the galaxy far, far away, but based on what we do know of his life from The Mandalorian, we can paint a picture of what happened to Grogu following the events of Order 66. We know that at some point, Grogu was in the clutches of Imperial forces, and they extracted his blood for Palpatine's weird homage to the Prestige. Now, either the Empire captured Grogu on that fateful day under special orders not to murder him outright, or they discovered him later. Ultimately, it led to Din Djarin being contracted to find Grogu by Dr. Pershing and the Client in The Mandalorian Season 1.
Yes.
Although Grogu was too young and apparently too sleepy in his little blanket to defend himself during Order 66, he apparently did receive tangible Jedi training during his time at the Jedi Temple.
Many masters trained him over the years.
When Ahsoka Tano watches Grogu's progress under Luke's tutelage, she compliments him on a job well done. But Luke deflects by saying,
It's more like he's remembering than I'm actually teaching him anything.
Now remember, the training methods that Luke is using on Grogu are the same ones that Yoda used with Luke on Dagobah, even down to the sweet parkour and flips.
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme. Every stanza kind of rhymes with the last one.
And if Grogu is remembering that training, as Luke suggests, it stands to reason that as a youngling, Grogu trained under Master Yoda at the Jedi Temple. And if not at the temple itself, Grogu might have learned his lessons after someone smuggled him off of Coruscant, maybe on Dagobah or even Tatooine, not too far from where Luke Skywalker eventually grew up. And that brings us back to the central question of who rescued Grogu following Order 66. Now, as we mentioned, the two biggest suspects are Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda. Both of them went to the Jedi Temple on that fateful day to send out a message warning their fellow Jedi to stay far, far away. No other Jedi accompanied them as they went to confront Darth Sidious and Darth Vader. So could there be another rogue Jedi who abandoned their fellow Jedi Knights but still found time to rescue Grogu? Well, I mean, yes, it's entirely possible, and Grogu is very cute. I would stop to rescue him, but it does feel unlikely. Far likelier, though, is that Obi-Wan and Yoda figured out a way to squeeze rescuing Grogu into their busy schedule on that fateful day. Given the longevity of Yoda's species, ensuring Grogu's survival would also be the best insurance policy to make sure that the Jedi Order survives in the long term as well. Keeping his survival a secret, though, was also crucial to ensure that people like Emperor Palpatine never learned of Grogu's existence, although clearly someone somewhere did spill the Palpa beans.
Who could have done this?
While Grogu is a wily young kiddo, he isn't exactly an escape artist. Case in point, when he was in Moff Gideon's Mit Gideons in The Mandalorian Season 2, Grogu couldn't escape by himself, no matter how hard he tried to force choke all his problems away. And considering how much younger he was during Order 66, if Grogu was captured, he'd be even less capable of freeing himself from captivity than he is now. Although, with that said, I really would love to see a Baby's Day Out style farce of Grogu eluding hapless Imperial goons just like crawling all around the ship. It would be adorable! Anyway, with that said, presuming that Grogu was captured by the Imperials in the aftermath of Order 66, Obi-Wan and Yoda still seem like the most obvious candidates to have rescued him and then stashed Grogu safely away like they did with Luke and Leia. And with the Obi-Wan Kenobi series coming to Disney Plus and Star Wars increasing focus on connecting every last dot in a galaxy far, far away, this feels like a question that might get at least partial answers sooner rather than later.
Who could have done this?
Because let's face it, if both Obi-Wan and Yoda walked out of the Jedi Temple in one piece that day and spent decades hiding and protecting other powerful Force-sensitive children, including Anakin Skywalker's own kids, who's to say they couldn't do the same for a third child as well? The bigger questions are, where did they stash Grogu? How and when did Grogu repress his memories and forget his Jedi training? And when did Grogu fall into the clutches of those Nikto Marauders from the very first episode of The Mandalorian? As with all of these questions, only time will tell, but with so much Star Wars on the horizon, including both Kenobi and a third season of The Mandalorian, it feels like they won't remain questions for that much longer.
Who could have done this?
Regardless, we'll continue to explore this particular question and overthink every last aspect of Star Wars in the meantime over on Nerdist.com. For now, though, tell us, what do you think of this theory? Who do you think saved Grogu from Order 66?
Clear your mind of questions.
Let us know in the comments below, and be sure to like and share this video while you're there. And make sure you hit that notification bell so you never miss a new episode. Anyway, for the latest and greatest in the world of pop culture, make sure you stay tuned to Nerdist.com.